When there's an injustice against you or someone you love or someone you believe in, stand up. Don't sit down on them. They need you.
Welcome to Pop Culture Justice here on Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor, and I'm so happy to be here with Lewis, my man from Nerd Report. Always a pleasure to see you. I wish we were talking about something a little bit more fun. This is not fun at all, and it's a story a lot of you guys have been wanting to get updated on. The tragedy that happened in Idaho. The college students at the University of Idaho who were murdered, 4 of them in the University of Idaho, like I said. And we don't know who did it. We're trying to figure out why. It was someone who murdered 2 students on one level, as I gathered, and then there was another level. What happened? Was this targeted? Was this random? There's a lot to unpack. This happened over Thanksgiving, around the Thanksgiving break week, and the officers are still trying to find out what happened. We have some updates to give you, but if you're unfamiliar with the case, we're going to give you a rundown and a summary as well. So if you don't know what's going on, Lewis is here to help educate me, and thanks to Headline Group who helped me as well gather all these documents to just have everything here, but also know where we stand as of today. So, Lewis, I have a bunch of documents and timelines and stuff I've gathered, but do you want to just give us sort of quick sort of summary from your point of view as you've been looking at this case, what you've discovered? I mean, what happened here?
Well, constantly there's moving parts, and there's not much information as far as the police are concerned, but there's the biggest issue here, in my opinion, is that there should be a lot of information, because this house was like literally in the middle of kind of nowhere in the part of the city. Like, you'd have to walk up to this house, and there was no camera, there's no footage of anyone breaking into the home. I believe this happened at about 1:30 a.m. And there's just, people are kind of at this point, after 2 weeks and a half, they're getting a little bit frustrated with the lack of information. And I think people are especially frustrated because I believe the authorities have said it's a targeted attack, and then brought back that statement and said it's a targeted attack on the home. Yeah. So, like, we don't know if it's a home targeted attack, or they were targeting the people. And then with the same breath, they're asking everyone to remain calm because there's really no danger. Well, if there's someone that's able to, with one, knife, take on 4 people in a small city, there's a danger out there. So I would be precautious, and they're kind of encouraging people not to be. I get the vibe, Andy, that this is like Jaws. Remember the mayor that didn't want to instill panic in Amityville, and they don't want the town to become a ghost town. People leaving as they are. I believe about 35% of the students have not returned to the college.
Right, so they're doing it remotely, I've heard. Yeah, because they're just it's true. I'd be scared too.
Correct. And it is very scary because it seems like whoever did it knows what they're doing. This is not a regular person picks up a knife, they're going to stab themselves with it. They're going to, inflict damage on who they're attacking, but you got to know how to use a knife. You just can't go in there,
especially to do it right 4 times over the course of 2 levels of a building. It's what. Let's watch a couple of these news clips
let's watch
so people can gather updates.
I mean, I'm learning as I go.
More than a week after the fatal stabbings of 4 University of Idaho students, still no answers as to who did this and why.
Moscow's always been a very safe community. In some ways, this took our innocence.
The families of Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin hoping for justice as police in the small town of Moscow team up with the FBI to follow any leads. Investigators revealing they were told in interviews that Kaylee had mentioned a possible stalker.
We have followed up, looking at specific time frames in specific areas of town. So far, we have not been able to corroborate it, but we're not done looking into that piece of information.
More than 100 pieces of evidence, 1,000 tips, 150 interviews, and hundreds of hours of police work, but authorities say they have no suspects or murder weapon.
I just didn't feel like it was very real. We don't usually lock our doors.
The University of Idaho stepping up security and ramping up police presence.
Nothing I can say will make this better. But please know that we stand with you in wanting whoever is responsible captured and brought to justice.
For now, school officials advising students to travel in pairs out of an abundance of caution. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
Ugh, just super terrifying. So again, these people were sleeping, right, Lewis? From what I've gathered.
Yeah, they were sleeping. They came, I guess they were at an event before they went back to that house.
They were at an off-campus residence in Moscow, a college town, about 25,000 people. They had 2 other roommates at the residence, a 3-floor, 6-bedroom apartment. So it was like not like a dorm exactly. It was like an off house, like a. But series of photos on Instagram at some point with the caption, "One lucky girl to be surrounded by these people every day." One of the photos shows Morgan sitting on Gonzalez's shoulders with staying next to them. That night, Chapin and Kernodle went out to a party on campus, and Morgan and Gonzalez went to a downtown bar. Police said Sunday they ordered a late night food. They ordered at a late night food truck. Food truck's live Twitch stream shows they ordered $10 worth of carbonara from the grub truckers and waited for about 10 minutes for their food. As they waited, they could be seen chatting with each other and with people standing by the truck. Person who managed the truck said the students did not seem to be in distress or danger. They returned home at some point in the early morning hours. At about noon on Sunday, a call came to 911 about an unconscious person at an off-campus residence. Police do not say who called 911. Arriving officers found the door to the residence open and discovered the bodies of 4 fatally stabbed students. It was a pretty traumatic scene to find 4 dead college students in a residence. There was no sign of forced entry or damage. Moscow police issued a statement saying 4 people were found dead in a home of the campus. University of Idaho announced that the 4 victims were students and canceled classes on Monday. Police then issued a statement identifying the 4 homicide victims. Police said details were limited. No one was in custody. They added that Moscow police does not believe there is an ongoing community risk based on information gathered during the preliminary investigation. They haven't said what that is, of course, and I understand why they don't, but that doesn't help the community, obviously. The Moscow mayor released a statement calling the deaths senseless acts of violence, and only limited information can be shared without jeopardizing the integrity of the investigation. Also issued a statement offering condolences of the victims' families and the community. Moscow police do not believe there is an ongoing community risk based on information gathered during the investigation. However, we ask our employees to be empathetic, flexible, and to work with our students who desire to return home to spend time with their families. On Tuesday, Moscow issued a statement saying that an edged weapon, such as a knife, was used in the killings. Police said no suspects were in custody, and they had not found the murder weapon. Also, based on information from the preliminary investigation, investigators believe this was an isolated, targeted attack, and there is no immediate threat to the community at large. So that's important. This targeted attack means like someone was coming specifically either to them or the home. Like there was a reason they aimed for that specific house. We don't know why. They've also, as Lewis said, as I've seen in my due diligence as well, have sort of adjusted that sort of. They're like taking it back a little bit. Later in the day, police released another statement that attempted to calm the fears of a killer on the loose. We hear you and we understand your fears. We determined early in the investigation that we do not believe there is an ongoing threat for community members. Evidence indicates that this was a targeted attack. Again, saying it again. Police Chief James Fry held a press conference, department's first in the case, and reiterated there was no suspect. He also backtracked on the assurances that no one was at risk. We cannot say there's no threat to the community. As we have stated, please stay vigilant. Report any suspicious activity and be aware of your surroundings at all time. The 2 other roommates were home at the time of the attack and were not injured, Fry said. There was other people home at that time, but we're not just focusing on them. We're focusing on everybody that may be coming and going from that residence. Thursday, the university often packed parking lots at empty spots after scores of students decided to return home and leave the area. Everybody just kind of went back home because they're scared. It's uneasy on campus right now. Community is trying to approach tragedy with sympathy. Added the fact that no perpetrator has been caught in the case has elevated a sense of fear. I expected. On Friday, hoping for tips from the community, investigators released a map and a timeline of the victims' movements. Last weekend, the map shows the 4 students spent most of the night separated in pairs. Most definitely someone somewhere has a tidbit of information that will help break this case open, and we believe the public around here will have that information for us, Idaho State Police Communications Director said. The victims were not found on the second and third. The victims were found on the second and third floors of the home. So he went in, or she went in, apparently, right, murdered 2 of these victims with a knife, I guess separately, and then somehow went to a 3rd floor and did it again. The coroner told CNN that she saw lots of blood on the wall when she arrived at the scene. She confirmed that there were multiple stab wounds on each body, likely from the same weapon, but would not disclose how many wounds nor where most were located. Saturday, authorities spent about 2 hours in the crime scene as part of the investigation. We're trying to expedite everything that might possibly lead to a suspect. I wish we had more answers, but we're still asking questions. Sunday, after the bodies were discovered, authorities still had no suspect or weapon. Now more and more tips are coming. Obviously, fear was coming in, so a lot of calls, speculation, theories, everything started coming in, which, as we know, Lewis, I know the true crime community, everybody is trying to help. Sometimes it can actually hinder if a lot of non-real, stories and tips are coming in, which tends to happen these days in these cases. There were other friends that had arrived at the location. Friday said, and the person who called 911 is not a suspect. Monday, the family of victim Ethan came together to grieve at a memorial. Family expressed thanks to the community. And that's sort of basic gist as we have. There's some more updates from the police in the past day or so that we're going to go through, but I want to get back to you now, Lewis, because, and again, I don't want to the details are so tough, but it's like, how do you stab someone in a room? It's blood everywhere. And then you go to another room, do it again. And then you go to another level and you do it again. I've watched the movies, right? You'd think there'd be screaming and a lot of action or fighting back. That to kill someone sort of quietly with a knife, as you said, would require immense skill, right?
And experience. I hate to say that, because it's to see someone to not be remorseful from when you did that to one person and then continue, and then going up the stairs to continue again. There's a lot to unpack here, man. There's a lot to unpack out of the statement you just read off. A lot of things are happening there that are really disturbing. And I think among them is telling the public that there's nothing to be worried about when it looks like you have a skilled, I don't even want to say the word, the KILLER.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Michael Myers. It really is. It's like Jason or Michael Myers. I don't know who else to think about.
I hate to say this, but I was watching an interview because I'm not sure how to pronounce the name. It sounds like Gonzalez. The Goncalves family, Kaylee's parents did an interview with Fox, and Kaylee's mom described that person, whoever did it, as the boogeyman. And guess who else is the boogeyman? Michael Myers. And she's right. I hate to compare it to a fictional character like that, but it is true. Whoever did this knows what they're doing, does not blink an eye to the sight of blood, because there's a lot when you do that. You know what I mean? When someone gets cut, just the very sight is enough to push someone back.
Multiple wounds, and then you got, because I just can't keep ignoring either, like the fact that there would be there. I don't know. I just feel like there would be some sort of resistance, right? Like pushback, and even if not if whoever did it knows what they're doing, man. If they know some sort of martial arts, have to or covering up the mouth or something, to stop the sounds of just I guess if you get enough internal organs properly and you know where to do it, and they're asleep, it's just, I don't want to get morbid thinking about the details, but guys, this is an intense thing. And so to be able to go through stock room to room, and then left a few of them still there, 2 of them at least still there. What did they wake up and realize that the room just got skipped? Why those 2 pairs of rooms? Were they all in the same? There were 2 rooms of roommates? Is that what?
I guess there were a few roommates there, and there was a couple. There's a couple, and then Kaylee had her best friend, because her dad has gone out and he's done interviews. He's spoken more of it, and I guess, according to his interview, he's let it be known that Kaylee got the worst end of it. That almost, as far as the autopsy report, does not match her death. So everyone is thinking that whoever did it was targeting her. specifically, because she got the worst end of it. I mean, that's a clue. And the reason we're bringing this to you all is because someone may be watching that knows something,
Right.
and stuff like that. So this wasn't a long time ago, November. Apparently I think I read somewhere that the knife that was used is similar to the one the military used, Rambo, like it looked like that. So I did send you video of the truck they ate at
Yeah, I think I have it here. So they say they were likely asleep when it happened, but I guess this is the footage from the truck.
Thanks
There's,
to
of course,
Total
an
Wine.
ad first.
Right.
While that ad is playing, here's the sort of Instagram image. These are the 4 people, right? The 4 friends.
Yeah.
So sad.
And I
And
also
this
want
was
to also
the map
add
of timeline. Yeah, go ahead.
that we've gravitated to this story, and hopefully you guys are sharing it and letting people be aware. But this happens more than we think. This is just one that gets a little bit more traction, but these type of murders.
I know there are a lot of unanswered questions too when it comes to the timeline. So this new video has surfaced just after 1 a.m. 2 of the victims at a food truck. We learned from authorities that they were reportedly murdered overnight, that when officials arrived at the house, that was because of a 911 call at 11:58 a.m. for an unconscious person. They got there, the door was opened, and there didn't appear to be damage inside. All of those details raising more questions. Are you getting any answers as to that timeline, as to other people who were in the house?
We're not right now. We know that the other 2 people in the house were the other 2 roommates who lived in that residence with them. We're not really getting any more answers at this time. Obviously, we're trying to respect the traumatic events that have happened to those 2 living roommates, and we assume the police are investigating it to its full conclusion.
That guy in the middle was smiling way too much for me. It's just
If you
creepy.
play the video I sent you, you will notice that there was words exchanged with one of the people at the food truck, and people have questioned who that is, because you see pretty much, and you actually hear Kaylee tell that
Oh, so
person.
these are like guys in the truck streaming while it's all happening.
Yeah.
Carbonara Mac of the week.
Here, I'll grab it for you.
Excellent. And then click see rewards.
What a they Twitch stream
And
food
it'll
truck
be not
orders
bad.
now?
Is the police department, are investigators aware of that video, and has it helped put together that timeline?
We are aware of that video, and it has helped. It gives us a time and space where we know that 2 of our victims were, and that helps us a ton, and we'll continue to follow up all leads that we can and continue to gather those.
As they found them, 2 other students, hours later, found them and 2 other students fatally stabbed at an off-campus home.
We know that these homicides occurred in the early morning hours of Sunday, November 13th. Around noon, Moscow officers received a call of an unconscious person. Officers discovered the bodies of Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Goncalves inside the residence on King Road.
So there you go, Lewis.
Well, if you play the video that I sent you, it clearly shows Kaylee telling one of the customers of that truck the F word. Is that the one I sent you? Oh, yeah. Sorry. Crap. There's one out there where she tells them F you, and then when they leave, that guy follows them.
The food truck guy?
One of the customers of the food truck. I'm gonna look for that. Look for that for you. Sorry.
All right. While you're looking at that, yeah, I mean, I didn't see that. I played what you sent me. There was,
Sorry about that.
I was trying to find, no, it's all good. There was one other, this had the timeline. Sorry, guys. I have a lot of things open. Well, here's another, while he's looking for that, let's look at, I wanted to give you guys the latest update. This is sort of a more recent clip.
Idaho this evening for the 4 University of Idaho students who were killed inside their off-campus home earlier this month.
Yeah, it's been more than 2 weeks now since they were murdered, and there are still questions. Thanksgiving, so more folks could be on campus and attend.
That's the building.
Meanwhile, authorities continue to look for leads in the grisly stabbings. 5 vehicles were recently moved from the crime scene as part of the ongoing investigation. Our own CBS News correspondent Lilia Luciano is outside of that police tape there at the crime scene and joins us now to talk about what we know. Lilia, we can see just from the weather and the conditions, that's changing as we approach December. But what are some of the biggest challenges police face in this case right now?
Well, Errol, Lana, it's good to talk to you. I think the main thing in this case, from the research, the studying I've done, and the people I've been talking to on the ground since we arrived this morning, is just misinformation, speculation. This is obviously a very high-profile crime that has sparked the interest not just of this small, relatively small college town community, but of course of every parent with college kids in America. People, are going online. They are combing through the victim's social media. They are studying the police reports. And from the beginning, police have been very tight-lipped. The one thing that they've said somewhat consistently is that they believe that the crimes that happened in this house, the 4 people who were killed on November 13, that those were targeted attacks. But they did backtrack the idea that there wasn't a threat to this community. Of course, initially when they said that, that raised a lot of questions. And so people started speculating, who could it be? And they start looking at people around the victims, at their acquaintances. And so a lot of that, misinformation or just speculation, even if it's, well-intended, has really filtered through the narratives, the multiple changing narratives of this case and this story. And so police have had to continuously come out and, really myth bust, if you will, all of the people who have appeared on social media as possible suspects, people who people at home are saying, could it be this person? And stop the finger pointing. Some of that includes the 2 roommates who survived, who were there on the first floor. Also, an ex-boyfriend of one of the victims who received multiple calls from Kaylee Goncalves' phone and Maddie, her roommate's phone. Also, the person who drove Maddie and Kaylee home that night. The man who was seen on a surveillance video when they were getting food before they arrived at home that night. So a lot of the investigation, or what we know from the investigation, is what is not true. What police have said, we don't have evidence to support that or have ruled out those possible or non-suspects. But other than that, they've been incredibly tight-lipped about what they know.
Well, it seems like, and Lilia, we've discussed this because there was so much confusion, especially since there was that bad information that came out in the beginning, where they said there isn't a threat to the community, but they had to walk back a lot of that. So where does the investigation stand now as they've tried to eliminate some of the confusion that came from those early missteps?
Well, right now they are studying thousands of tips that have come from the community. They are studying hundreds of pieces of evidence that they've gathered from here. As you mentioned during the intro earlier, they took away the cars of the victims. So right now they're just studying, trying to gather any information. But authorities have said that they're not naming a suspect. They don't have a suspect yet. And of course, there's also speculation about the backtracking of information. I mean, did they jump too soon to say that something was or that the attack was targeted, and does that impact their investigation? Now we know that there's other bigger agencies involved. There's dozens of FBI agents that are at their disposal to study this case. And the other big thing in this community is, because clearly there's no suspect and clearly there's somebody at large who is capable of committing these gruesome murders, the community is on edge. Police this week said that they have been receiving an unusually high number of calls for suspicious activity, suspicious people. So people, are frightened. And because of that, a lot of students did not come back to campus. The University of Idaho is offering online or virtual learning for those students who did not want to return, or parents who did not feel comfortable sending their kids back after the Thanksgiving break. But there's still a lot of people in this community. And of course, as you can imagine, a lot of people are frightened.
Yeah, a lot of questions, a lot of concerns. Lilia, thank you.
antioxidant goodness in every.
Oops, sorry.
You want to play that video I sent you? It's
proper
go to
one?
22
Goncalves and
seconds
Madison
in.
Mogan stopped for mac and cheese after partying at a nearby bar.
Everybody seemed like in good spirits, nothing seemed off. And then they start interacting with a couple other people. They're waiting for their food.
Now look at this. Video shows Madison pointing at a man in a hoodie who appeared to have followed them to the truck. We had the video and audio from the clip enhanced, and you can hear her using an expletive. Blank you, mister, she says. Police have already announced they have cleared the young man in the hoodie. Audio engineer Anthony Nelson enhanced the audio for Inside Edition. What do you hear in that instant?
She says, you.
So, was there an argument? If so, what was it about? Kaylee's parents say in their opinion, some of the individuals have been cleared too prematurely. Nancy Grace, host of Crime Stories, says the victims' families are being mishandled.
Number one thing you do in a murder case is you locate the victim's family and loved ones, and you hold their hands from soup to nuts till you get that guilty verdict all the way. Now, do I mean hand over your file and all the intricacies of the case? H-E-double-L, no. But there's a happy medium. These families should not feel this way.
Meanwhile, the focus is shifting to where the other two victims, Xana Kernodle and Ethan Chapin, were between 9 p.m. when they were at a gathering at a Sigma Chi fraternity and 1:45 a.m. when they returned home, just a short distance from the frat house.
So, yeah, I mean, updates, it's interesting. That does seem strange, and this is a good shot of where things are.
Yeah. And also,
yeah,
I want to add, Andy, that for some reason, the media, every time the mainstream ones, they don't show you the entire video, but they cut it right before those two guys kind of follow them. Now, I don't want to, I'm not trying to be a conspiracy dude, right? But it just, that's weird. And I love the way they blur out only those guys' pictures. You know what I mean? Everyone else, fine, which is frustrating. But the extended footage of this actually shows these guys, or one of them at least, going the same direction they go when they leave. See, when they leave right here, see the guy turns to look.
He did point, but they cut away annoyingly.
Yeah.
Where do we get the, hit my lights.
And if you look at the way the home is, it's in the middle, like, of a lot of nothingness. Where someone must have walked over there, you know, like in plain sight, and there's no video, which is strange in 2022, you know?
So there's I think this is the full video. Once they leave, this is the hoodie guy in question, which, again, who knows?
There's an argument. Maybe those two guys are flirting with them, or you know, and they're being okay.
Okay. Do they walk off?
Okay.
So then they walk off. Here's the now.
Okay. He looks. There they go. All right. Look.
I mean, this is the food truck right here.
No, look. He goes right. He looks determined,
Well, I mean,
man.
The people went off this way.
He did go off that way, but maybe he's getting in his car, man. I don't know.
I mean, that's a pretty debunked right there, dude. See, that's
I don't know, man. That looks
these
pretty
girls
determined.
go.
Look at his impression, because you weren't looking at him. You're looking at the wrong guy. Watch.
Well, they went off this way. Okay, they're not crossing off. They've gone boop. They're going all the way this way now, and now it looks like he's darting that way. Now he sees.
They get in the car.
Maybe he saw them going to the house or something, but he's now going off the completely different direction. So I gotta say,
I don't know. What do you guys think in the comments? It's a little weird.
I just think it's dangerous to just be like, oh, it must be the hooded guy who walked off in the same direction.
I'm just saying, well, no, but if you're arguing with the people and then all of a sudden you're there ordering food and then all of a sudden you're not really even picking up the food you ordered.
I mean, he's not even looking at him though.
But where's his food? What is
he's
he
not
doing?
even looking there. Oh, wait, so let's watch. This is the guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they leave. The guy there is like, oh, they left. Is like, oh, whatever. And then this guy, okay, he is following. He is following.
She said
Yeah, all right.
F you
the,
that direction.
The exit is strange. I'm not going to deny that. So I guess I'll take back my debunk. But he doesn't follow them because they're going. I mean, unless it's weird. I guess he's saying he's getting the car or something to then follow
Something.
them.
I don't know what's beyond that point. Now, I'm not saying that person's guilty. I'm just saying
it's strange that guy was waiting for food, didn't have food, it seems.
Right.
He was like behind them or waiting for an order, and then he just bounces. It is strange.
I think that's a good poll question. Should that person be looked at? I think if we don't have information, we can only go with what we see, right? So
I'll ask the audience, but I don't we're just speculating here. Don't go talk to
no, I look, I can't imagine anyone doing this to anyone, so I'm probably gonna lean on that it's not him, but it's just weird. He's there to order food, it's food truck, and then she says F you at that direction. She says F you, mister, I believe. And then all of a sudden he's talking to the guy again, the bigger guy. And then as soon as they leave, he does a double take, goes straight at them, maybe sees that they're in a car maybe, and then he goes somewhere else. I don't know. I'm going to guess he didn't do anything.
Yeah, did he follow her or is he going the other way? What do you think? Audience, I just put the poll out. Let's see what our audience, where do their minds go? Because again, here it is playing one more time. There's like the guy's like, oh look, they're leaving. Madison gets. They get the food. They walk off. They're filming it. There's some sort of film. Something.
Thank you.
Can I do the big burrito? But I'm going to be really quick. I'm so sorry. Can I get it without the chipotle slaw?
Yes, you absolutely
and
can.
Then without the onion salsa?
No salsa.
And do you guys have sour cream or no?
We do not.
It's a weird way, man, to walk.
It is.
too.
It's strange. I mean, he starts to follow and then he goes the other direction. I don't know the street. I'm sure someone's already broken down. Grizzly or somebody.
People are saying he didn't order food. Then why is he at a food truck? It's kind of weird.
Look, it's a suspect. I'm not going to say he's not a suspect, but he did go the other direction. And the poll split. He walked off the other way. No, he clearly follows her. It's about 55%, 57 now saying follower, 43 now. This is the problem with what we do here. It's like we got to be careful. We got to be.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not.
Who knows, guys?
Yeah.
We're not saying this guy did it because that's a huge thing to say. But I hope the police properly questioned him. I think is what we're trying to really get at. And at the end of the day, that's where we're stuck now because this is such a horrific crime, such a tragedy. This whole town. As we're winding up, this is the most recent one from Independent saying, they sparked fresh speculation, overruled out suspects in college kids. They're basically bringing back suspects is what the individuals cleared as suspects may be re-interviewed is where we stand now. Mr. Fry, the police chief, told Fox News on Tuesday that the people in question could still be called back to speak with the police and if the evidence leads law enforcement back to them. So, I mean, that could have been just a broad, of course we bring people back if we always have the option of re-interviewing. We've actually re-interviewed people 2 or 3 times because we'll get tips or we'll go information. We'll need to verify again. And sometimes we need to ask the questions a little bit different to ensure that we're getting the proper information, continue with the investigation. I mean, that makes sense, right? You want to ask the story, you want to get the person to tell the story multiple times to see if they're telling the same story over and over again. You want to catch them if they're lying or if they're being genuine. Investigators have ruled out the 2 surviving housemates who were left unharmed and appear to have slept through the murders. Other friends who were in the home when the 911 call was made alerted police to the murders. Former longtime boyfriend, man seen the camera at the food truck on the night of the 12th, and the person who gave them a ride from the food truck to the home where they died. Oh, so they did drive. So yeah, okay. I was wondering if they walked off to their home or drove. They drove. And so this guy could have been getting into a car to follow to see where they were. 6 person listed on the lease at the student's home and 2 men involved in a stalker incident with Goncalves around a month before the murders are also not to believe to be connected to the case. Police said it is now more than 3 weeks since the murders were stabbed in the student home in Moscow, Idaho, back in November 13th. No arrests have been made, no suspects named. and the murder weapon has not been recovered. I want to get your thoughts, audience. I'm going to get more of Lewis's, but I'm going to clip it here for the main show. We got lots more to talk about, so if you missed it, become a member. You'll be able to support what we're doing. You'll be able to pick a tier. You'll just be supporting our reporting, and appreciate it. Pick a level. You'll be a member. You can always then catch the replays if you want to watch them another time. That's why you support here. We appreciate you. Make sure you also support Lewis over at Nerd Report, my favorite.